Hi guys, welcome back to Sports with Mono and Mono. It's June 5th, 2020, and I'm here with my partner Steve. Steve, say hello to our loyal
Hello.
followers.
That was my flounder from Animal House. Hello. Welcome back, everybody, to the show.
He's a legacy.
He's a legacy.
Exactly. So listen, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And again, after today's show, we hope you send us some emails with your thoughts and so forth, because the crazy time we thought we had over the past few weeks.
Let me correct you. It's actually June 6th.
It is June 6th.
Not the 5th.
I'm getting a...
I think we got a little D-Day history in and around this time of the month here in June, no?
Tell me about it.
Yeah, well, I think the anniversary of D-Day is...
Coming up?
I think it might be today, actually. But
you know how much that means to us.
that certainly does. So
Unbelievable.
where the parachutes landed in the trees and the
Ridiculous.
boys were hanging from
Guys drowning before getting off those
Ah,
flatboats.
yeah.
I mean, it was absurd.
I
right?
just want to say it's that time of year where we pay our respects to the World War II guys.
You bet. So listen, Steve, there's a lot going on, right? We've been dealing with the coronavirus for 3 months now and the effect that it's had. And then, unfortunately, let's talk about the elephant in the room. I mean, there's a lot of tension in this country right now. And, we're a sports show. We're not political guys.
We're
But
not.
we're saying this is happening right now. It's happening at a very unfortunate time. Two of the worst events that could possibly happen simultaneously are going on.
Right.
And,
It's crazy.
before we move on, and again, I don't think there's any question, all of us condone the actions of the George Floyd, right? It was excessive and so forth. And I'm just going to say it happened, and this is the result of why, how it's and why it's happening and so forth. So what do you think? And we'll try to keep it toward the impact on sports, but it's such a social issue right now, we can't deny it.
Right. What do I think? I think, like everybody else, it's something that should never have happened. Okay?
Yep.
Now, what's gone on after, I'm not even going to comment on it. I think people have eyes, ears, and can see for themselves. I want to say, I live in Oakland, New Jersey, which is a small town, or the population is
25 miles outside of New York City.
yeah, no
right?
more than 13,000.
Right.
And my town actually held a protest. So I have a 16-year-old daughter, Emily, that I'm very proud of. I talked to her the day after, and she took part in a peaceful protest. She's 16, she's learning. But I think, and I wanted to tell her, and I did, how proud I am of her,
Yep.
that she took part in something that she believes in, or a cause, or whatever it may be. And I said,
and we
that's
believe
the
in-
right of of an American.
And that's what we believe too, the right
Right.
to protest. Neither one of us could possibly even take that
Absolutely.
right away from
Absolutely.
the American public. Right?
But I'm not commenting on the violence and the sheer
If I could
sheer destruction, and I will say this, unfortunately, I would say 85% of those that are doing the destruction have no idea what they're even,
If I had one sentence,
they don't have any idea.
Steve, if I had one sentence to say, would you agree with this? We understand the why, but we don't understand the how. Right? The how is what's happening now, and it's a crazy time. And again, we're not political guys. We don't want to. We respect the right of people to protest, but there's a few bad apples in the basket, right? That kind of thing. But this is
there's
bad.
more than a few bad apples.
It's bad. It's a bad situation, and as it impacts in sports and so forth. Let's move on. And before we move on, I want to
Well,
say
does
that
it have an impact on sports? Yes, because of the social commentary, and I think that's a good segue to Drew Brees.
okay.
Okay.
Yep.
What
Made
we
a
know-
statement when I first initially saw the statement. I said, it didn't phase me one bit. He's a stand-up guy, right? Pillar of the community, no question.
Absolutely. Contributed millions to charity from Katrina to everything. I mean, Drew Brees, listen, he's a good guy.
He's a good guy.
Okay, now he gets caught up for what? His opinion is don't desecrate the flag. I'm with Drew Brees because that's how I feel. Doesn't mean you cannot do that, right? Because again, this is America. We can agree to disagree. But I am not apologizing for that. But I also understand Drew Brees' position that, you know, the Malcolm Jenkins and his other teammates, right? It put him in a bad spot. I get that.
And I supported Malcolm Jenkins when he was with doing the Kaepernick thing. Can I just go off and let's bring this back to the impact on sports?
Sure.
And again, this segment sponsored by Coriano Trucking, and I had a chance to see Guy and his family, and everybody's okay. So we thank them
Good.
for being a loyal sponsor of the show.
Thank you, Guy.
But what came out today with Roger Goodell and so forth, and the NFL players put together a video, which was awesome. But if we want to talk about intertwining politics a little bit with sports, Roger Goodell said yes, the NFL was slow to the game or missed the mark. And without getting deeply into it, I fully support Colin Kaepernick's right. Here's where the NFL missed the mark. They should have said, okay, we get it. If it happens during the national anthem, people are going to say they're disrespecting the flag. Nobody came right out and said, then you know what we'll do? After the national anthem, any player that supports, and which we all do, against police brutality and so forth, then take a knee on the field and delay the game 5 minutes and everybody come together. Wouldn't that have been something kind of a better way to approach it? And that's not a knock on Kaepernick. He didn't know what the right time was. The NFL should have came out if Goodell's saying they've missed the mark, they didn't get it, now we're going to start listening. Well, they should have been listening years ago. Years ago. And I thought that was an opportunity which kind of created this tension between the sports league and the right of social protest and so forth, and it kind of got lost. And I think that's what got Drew Brees caught up. He was talking about the flag, and that's our country. What happens inside the country, that's our problem. We got to work.
Yeah.
But as America, it's us against the world,
Yeah.
and we're supposed to set the example. And I'm not going to accept Roger Goodell's explanation that they missed it and now they're going to step up. I'm just not going to. I think it was too late.
Of course,
and it was
too
kind
late.
of it was
Do
unfortunate.
you think if the George Floyd incident didn't happen, that Roger Goodell would have issued a statement yesterday that
Or would
we missed the mark?
right? Or would people be donating to these causes?
PR and trying to
Salvage their image, right?
salvage their image and put water on the fire that's currently raging in the country right now.
And it is crazy. And like I said, we
But you know what? There's only X amount of people out there that know that. That know that.
Yeah.
To me, the bottom line is the flag. We've talked about our military history, our love of the Civil War, of the not the love of the Civil War, but learning about it. Right?
Yep.
The American Revolution, obviously, we are.
it means everything to
It
us.
means everything. And you know what? The flag, right? Betsy Ross to, defending it in Baltimore when the British came in 1812 back. And
But as citizens, we all have a right to live under that flag. If it's just a piece of cloth, but it's supposed to mean everything, and that's how it should
exactly
be.
right.
And we'll get there. But this is a tough time, and
Yeah.
that's all I'm saying. And again, we support Kaepernick and his right to protest, and Malcolm Jenkins and all these guys.
We support anybody's right to protest.
You bet.
But how about not looting and burning down businesses? And please tell me what the point is of that. What is the?
It's tarnishing the whole reason behind the protest, and it's tarnishing the message that we're sending. And we don't.
We could go on and on.
There's
about
millions
this.
of people out there protesting peacefully, and there's a few bad apples in the basket, and unfortunately, that's happened.
And behind the scenes,
Yep.
I can't say anything further.
Okay, we covered it. So let's move on. Sports is happening again, Steve. Sports is happening
getting
again. Right? Hockey, it's pretty much a done deal. They
We still got some
came
work
to
do.
an agreement, though,
Yeah,
but it's happening.
It's just about logistics, where and when.
Yep.
But they'll be back. But the NBA is taking the lead, so they're the first of the major sports to come to an agreement, and they're starting in less than a month, or just about a month.
Yep.
And they're all going to Disney, and there's 22 teams. 8 have been left out. And I tell you, I'm very impressed with Adam Silver. I really am. I think Adam Silver is.
Oh, he was the perfect pick to
I think
succeed David
I
Stern.
think he's a rock star. You know what? He's very open-minded. He's very clear-headed. He's a great communicator. He gets stuff done. It's not like
He does. I
My
agree
only
with you.
point is he factored in or listened to all these proposals to make it like, whatever, like a Rucker Park 3-on-3 tournament.
No.
All this nonsense.
You can't have a pared down season.
But
like
you know
that.
what he said? He said Michael Jordan. So Jordan is one of the 8 teams, owns the Charlotte Hornets. That's not, going to be there. And they had the owners meeting, and Silver presented, this is the proposal. And Michael Jordan got up and said flat out that this has to be about basketball. It's just about championships. That's it. So the 22 go in, right? So the point is Adam.
Knicks are out.
Yeah, but the point is Adam Silver.
I agree with you.
Quashed the gimmickry that could have, made it different. I'll say that.
But the NHL took the lead
But
in
he
that.
acknowledged Michael Jordan and said nobody is more respected than Michael Jordan when it comes to basketball, right? So Jordan said, line them up, 22, little play. They'll have I don't know. They may have 10 regular season games, if that, and then they do a play-in tournament. And then it's for all the marbles, and they should be over, I think, by September 25th or something. Is the
10
latest.
games? That's what
Something like that. But again, this is.
It's becoming a tournament, not an NBA season,
of course,
right?
of course.
The asterisks fly all over the place.
My
right?
point is, it's about basketball.
I got you.
It's not gimmickry. Just play and go from there.
Well, look,
So they're ready to roll.
but give kudos to the NHL. They're ready to
They're
roll.
ready to
too.
roll too.
And this sounds like it's kind of going to be fun, actually. And I got to tell you, I watched some old highlights of the '86 Rangers Flyers series. Unbelievable. You want to talk about dropping the gloves, guys
Yeah.
throwing haymakers. I mean, that was part of the game. It doesn't happen anymore now. But
And God, do we miss that?
oh God, this was George McPhee and Rick Tocchet, and Tocchet. We know how tough he was. We've seen his scraps, right? But Nick Fatiou and all these guys and Hospodar, and it was awesome. But just to watch it, it was so awesome to see old time. We talk about
Was
it all
that
the
the
time.
series that Hospodar got his jaw broken?
No, I don't think so. But it was the one where George McPhee bloodied Rick Tocchet. He wouldn't come off the ice. Like kept looking like, how much more do you need to take, right?
Yeah.
But it was great to see, and that was the game where you and I talked after the show about Chico Resch came in to relieve Bob Froese, I think, and
Right.
I actually forgot that he actually played for the
Glenn
Philadelphia Flyers.
Chico Resch.
Right, but it was awesome. It was so cool to see.
So it's good. The NHL will be back again.
Yep.
We don't have an official start date, but it's imminent. And a benefactor is the New York Rangers, who will actually, they're going to play the Carolina Hurricanes in this quote-unquote play-in series, if you will.
Is it 3 out of 5 or 5 out of 7 the first round?
I think
No.
it's 3 out of 5. Again, they're
That's
up,
what always made the
they're up
NHL
against-
season.
They're up
you know.
against the clock, so.
It's the longest season in sports, right? It's
Right.
got to be 8 months
Right.
at least.
And then the other thing too is, when I think of the NBA and there's 8 teams that are sitting on the sidelines, And the New York Knicks, of course, are
One of them.
one of them, which goes to the last 20 plus years of futility to the New
And
York
what does that
Knicks.
get him? A lottery pick? That then, right? The teams that don't get in
Even
are
if they
lottery
get a
picks.
lottery pick, it don't matter.
All right.
They'll screw it up.
But I got to say, I'm. Now that you mentioned it's only a 10-game potential 10-game season and the tournament in NBA, I'm more excited for the NHL coming back. I got to say.
Now, the NBA's ratings are going to go through the roof. With this.
Of course they are.
I
People
know.
are starving for
I
this.
know.
We're starving for this.
But, you got the Lakers in the West and, the Toronto.
The favorites to win the
I
right.
tell you what, Toronto's no joke either. I mean, they're right up there. You got the Celtics, of course. The Bucks were on pace to win 70, so
Yeah, could have broken the record.
Giannis is all rested, so
And we've all conceded that guy's a stud.
oh yeah,
He is a
I,
stud.
I'll just say it should,
Best player in the game.
yeah, right now he is
Absolutely.
I'm going to predict Milwaukee and Lakers.
Okay.
In the final.
Again, with an asterisk.
Oh, with double asterisks.
So listen, let's stay with the who's coming back, who's not coming back, and this is sponsored by Lynch Motors of Manchester, Connecticut, who I heard from this week in email and loved the show. And I guess as soon as we mentioned his boat and he was psyched to get back out there, he sent us an email, and we thank Captain Lynch for his email and correspondence. And again, please send us some emails on any thoughts you have on
Right.
anything we say today
Especially
or
about the
anything you want to
social-
talk about.
Yeah, but especially about the social unrest. What do you guys think about it?
Yep.
Sports with mono and mono at gmail.com.
Yep,
We love the feedback, and
we really would.
and we'll answer you.
And we'll talk
we
about
can.
you next week, and we'll answer the question
We'll
on
make you
air.
famous. We'll make you famous.
You got it. So
Well, I want to go back to baseball.
okay,
So,
I got an interesting thing about baseball that I heard on the air, and I want to talk about it.
but of the four sports, then we've talked about the players' union, etc., etc. It's really kind of getting insulting here. Okay.
Are you picking a side, the owners versus the players,
Well,
or what?
my only point is if you're going to play the season, 114 games, the players, yeah, why? Because they want the money. Is it about the money? Yeah, it's about the money. Right?
Right.
And then the owners are crying poverty, even though, for example, Tom Ricketts comes out earlier in the week and said, Tom Ricketts bought the Cubs, by the way, about 6-7 years now. $700 million. Cubs are worth $3.2 billion as we speak. So Ricketts is saying, it's not like we have hordes of cash lying around here, right? It's not like I can tap, and it's like, really? Okay. But then you got the players.
It's hard to pick a side,
Right,
in this,
but then
to be
you
quite
got the Blake
honest.
Snells and everybody crying, I want to play for a prorated salary. Bottom line is, owners come back with 50 games. I think 82 will be the medium. But I still think there is a possibility. I think it's a very strong possibility they play.
Do you want a 50-game season and then?
No, that's
and then-
that's insane.
I think that's where we're going.
No, it's going to be 82.
There's something I saw, and this guy's got a good resume, Jeff Passan on ESPN.
Yeah, he does. I like him.
So I saw him, and he was talking about it.
He knows
and
his stuff. though.
He sure does. And they were talking about it. They said, if you're a young prospect coming up through the minor leagues, you know what the players' union teaches you? Do not trust the owners.
Sure.
Because they fudge the books, they're hiding stuff under the thing, and I'm like, wow, that's why we're at a standstill with this,
Right, and again, it makes sense. The owners. When you watch the Black Sox scandal, whatever. Charles Comiskey is one of the cheapest guys, right?
Boardwalk Empire.
Totally, right? But the point is, yeah, the player's been shafted decade after decade, but then Marvin Miller takes over in the 1970s, and boom, now the players
Guides
are
them
making
through.
players
Okay.
are making money. Bottom line is, they still have the collective bargaining for next year. If Major League Baseball cannot agree to play this summer, and then they have this collective bargaining problem going into next year,
There's going to be a strike.
this is going to be worse than
The strike.
Sammy Sosa and McGuire bringing back the game, which we talked about, which
Phony
is the big
baloney.
phony baloney. But how are they coming back from that? Who would drive to Yankee Stadium to pay $15 for a beer, $50 in parking? Ticket price would have to rise.
Exactly.
So that's what they're looking at. So
But you know people are starving for this to come back. Even if they came back with a 30-game schedule, people would go to Yankee Stadium because they haven't done anything for 4 months.
Oh, well, I get it.
Right?
They will come, but they're not going to come as many. Not as many are going to come.
Listen, we watched in Yankee Stadium. The new Yankee Stadium was a big place, and they're not filling people. There's a lot of empty seats in those games in the past few seasons.
Well, absolutely.
Because people are tired of paying $50 to park,
Yeah.
$15 for a beer, $9 for a hot dog,
Oh,
et cetera,
sure.
et cetera. et cetera.
Exactly.
You know,
So, Major League Baseball, caveat emptor,
Yep.
buyer beware.
Yep.
They better get their crap together. I'm going to assume an agreement will happen this week, coming week, and then off they go.
Right. So now we know we have Mr. October, we have Mr. November, and now it's going to leak into December. We're going to have our first Mr. December. Who's going to hit that home run that wins the World Series? Right. The Joe Carters,
And that's the other thing.
the Mazeroskis.
Right, but I don't understand.
Mr. December. We
Well,
coined it
could
here
be.
first.
Could be.
Right.
But it better be a warm weather city.
All right. Well, we'll see. Because, like I said, our nephew, the pitching coach at Rutgers, is they're waiting around and somebody to give them the green light. And
Yeah.
we know our alma mater, St. Joe's, that season was canceled. A lot of seniors didn't get to play.
Yeah.
Your son sitting here waiting around. Am I going to play football this spring?
Well, I'm glad you brought that
this
up.
fall. I'm sorry.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. So I think it's a good information for those that have kids and play football. So my son is going to go to Ramapo High School, and Ramapo is back-to-back state champs. They're on a 26-game win streak, etc. But we had a virtual Zoom meeting with the head coach, Drew Gibbs, about freshman football orientation.
Long-time coach.
And very poignantly, Mr. Gibbs said, "Folks, I know the question's going to be, are we playing this year?"
And then he couldn't possibly answer that,
He
right?
said, "As of right now, I couldn't possibly answer that.
That's what
but
I
we are
figured.
going to prepare, etc., etc." So
Yep.
we shall see.
Okay. But listen, before we wrap up with baseball, I want to say I caught an E60 past few days on Roy Halladay. And you and I know,
He's a
Hall of
good-
Famer, we said absolutely.
Oh yeah.
But it was so interesting to see, just like when he first came up, came up, high prospect, got rocked.
Yeah.
Sent to the minors, changed his whole pitching approach.
His father was a douche.
His father looks younger than him. And I know he's dyeing his hair, but he looks younger than him.
Right.
But this Roy Halladay E60 special, and again, you and I talk about this stuff. If it's good, we're going to mention it. This is good. It's worth watching.
And again, it's
Hall of Famer, for sure.
yeah, absolutely.
But what a crazy story. It's like,
It's a tragedy.
what you don't see behind the curtain. And but no problem with him in the Hall of Fame, and it's something to watch. I highly recommend it.
Yeah, his life was cut short, unfortunately, with the plane crash.
Right, but to his own cause,
Yep.
if you will.
Yep.
Right? So listen, what about the NFL, Steve? I mean, guys are coming back. They're opening training camps. I saw a thing. One of our dear friends, Luke Whippler at Ohio State, they can start working out and so forth, and lifting houses and changing trucks without
Okay.
jacks and so forth. And
Yeah.
so things are getting better. So things are starting to happen.
It's trending.
Right. And,
And,
as
the,
you,
and the point I wanted to make too, back to our original thing on the protesting, it's about COVID. Meaning, is there any social distancing going on with these riots and protests?
well, that's the fear.
So
is
we
it's
should
going to
see-
cause a second wave.
Well, we
Right.
should see. That's my point. In about a week or two, we'll see if there's a second wave, and if there's a second wave, then
You know, and I'm
all
not,
bets are off.
and I'm not Cornack from the Johnny Carson show, but I'm saying I think this COVID has run its course. You know, so.
COVID. COVID.
An incredible biological catastrophe that none of us ever foresaw, but it happened.
I'm gonna blow the envelope open. What is?
Huge Johnny Carson fans.
Yes.
If you didn't notice.
Maybe we'll do some Cornack on an anniversary show.
That's my wheelhouse right there. I'll be on the remake of the Laugh-In show, you know, when that comes back, right?
Totally.
They're redoing, you know, all kinds of crazy shows now. Why not that? You know?
Exactly.
Hey, so listen, let's move on. Like I said, we're all excited that sports is starting to loosen up. Things are coming back, and you actually mentioned it, and I have to bring it up because we talked about it before the show. We know the Belmont Stakes is running on June 20th.
Yep.
Told you, right? Churchill Downs and Belmont Park have been racing with no fans. Doesn't diminish when you got the camera zoomed on the horses down the stretch.
All right.
So that's coming back.
If you bet the 3-horse and the 3-horse won, you're still making money.
Exactly. So that's coming back, and you know that's good news. Hopefully for our friends up in Saratoga, because they need racing up there. It's that special. It's the crown jewel of horse racing in the Northeast.
Yeah, okay.
Without question.
So let's hope that they're allowed fans to pay to come in.
But I gotta give my partner Steve and my brother some credit here. He came up with a very funny line. It's not funny in the overall context, but
It's very
Yeah.
witty.
witty. And this is what the late night comics do. They take tragedy and make jokes about it. But the Santa Anita Derby is being run,
Today.
and Steve, I'm gonna give you the floor and give you the mic and say,
Yeah.
Santa Anita Derby. What's your first thought?
They said the graveyard, you know, it's a graveyard.
Graveyard for horse races. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, and
What
that
and I
means-
don't mean that funny in whatsoever.
exactly, and we've
There-
talked about
Yes,
this
the
before.
amount of horses that have died over the past 2 years at least, right?
and if you had
It's
to pick,
astronomical.
and if you pick the hot spot of where most of this was happening, it was Santa Anita.
Absolutely.
You know? And this is a precursor, but look, it's already June 6th, so some of these horses that are going to be running in here aren't going to be ready for the Derby. I mean, for the Belmont, June 20th.
Right.
But it's still exciting, and there's nothing like seeing horses race on a beautiful day. And,
Yep.
You know,
I still got to look at the field, but I think I heard that one of Bob Baffert's horses got
Caught up.
disqualified.
well, I think it was
Bit of juicing.
yeah, there were 2 horses in Bob's stables that are under question here.
And
so-
listen, Bob Baffert had no idea this is going.
Of course.
Okay.
He pulled a Jim Valvano and said, "I don't know what you're talking about.
Get out of here, you little
Fire him."
you snot nose.
Anyway, but there's something beautiful about horse racing, and now that things are breaking, it's summer and it's 87 degrees here in the Northeast.
Yeah.
We need horse racing, but for horse racing, empty stands doesn't bother me as much as a football game with empty stands.
Oh, yeah.
You see what I mean? You know,
See what I'm saying? See what I'm saying?
you got it. You got it. And like I said, a horse race you could see without fans, unless
Right.
you're missing the opportunity to be there.
Right.
So,
I think for a horse, it's no different than 5 in the morning. Like Seabiscuit or something. When the
good movie, by the way.
Great movie. But when they take him out in the morning, at 6:30, he's still running as fast as he can, and so I don't. If you put the blinders on him,
Early morning jog, right? But no, that's so awesome, and I can't wait and we'll stay with you guys. We'll give you our Belmont picks next week before the Belmont gets run. And again, we told you there's got to be an asterisk. It's not the 1.5 miles that we're used to for the Belmont.
Yep.
Means a lot.
All right, we'll do our homework this week, and
Separates the men from the boys. I told you I'm still sticking with Governor Morris unless he gets scratched before race time,
Yeah.
which I don't think he should.
no, I think I'm with you on that.
Uh,
Governor.
right, but it's the Revolutionary War spelling of governor. That's what makes it intriguing,
Correct.
right? So listen, one thing we forgot to, not that we forgot to mention, it happened after we did our last show. And you know, we're giving kudos to cool things and so forth, but you know what was cool? The Falcon 9 liftoff. The
Yeah.
first, non-100% NASA liftoff to space, dropping these guys off. Excuse me, do you know how to get to the space station? Two
Me,
gas
George
stations.
Jetson. Dude. His dog.
And when we watch the Jetson, we go, this could never happen.
His
It's happening.
boy, Elroy.
It's really happening now. I mean, this is really...
It's the Jetsons.
But cool, I'm not a big fan of the new uniform, right? The Seinfeld aliens come down, silver jumpsuit, face stripe.
Totally. Absolutely. Take me to your leader.
I'm not picking that up. But no, I wanted to mention it. And listen, give Elon Musk his due here. He's got the dough to do it.
He's got all the dough. He is a crazy scientist, I would say.
Mad scientist.
Mad science. That's the word I was looking for.
Right. Mad scientist.
But he pulled it off.
He did.
And
And it's changing the
it's
future
it's the whole different landscape now with private enterprise and.
I know we heard something, a few years ago, people are booking trips to Mars. I'm like, I'm not sure I want to go to Mars.
Right.
I'm good with the pictures here. Red planet, we get it, looks cool.
No
Hotels, no roller coasters, no beer gardens,
Right.
nothing. I want to go there?
Can I get a corner condo with the view of the bubbling gases out there? And
I'll take a dune.
Honey, I love those two dunes over there.
But you and I have always appreciated the space.
God, we are
the whole thing. We didn't get
Absolutely.
why, but we thought how cool it was, and it's really happening. But I wanted to acknowledge that.
By the end of the decade, we're going to put a man on the moon.
Yeah, I know. And I told you, I saw Chuck Yeager, test pilot Chuck Yeager, speak one time.
Oh,
That was
yeah.
kind of cool.
Great.
But I didn't like the new uniforms, I gotta say. Looked like kind of throwbacks to the old Russian uniforms,
Yeah, right.
Sputnik. Yuri Andropov, right?
Yuri Gagarin.
Hey, Khrushchev's on the phone. But anyway, I wanted to mention that because it's
Hey,
cool.
it's Chernenko. Don't worry about him. He'll be gone in 2 months.
Yeah, exactly. But NASA, cool stuff, partnering up with the private sector, it's awesome. And that's how it has to be because NASA got cut for nobody funding them federally, right? So
Right.
Elon Musk got more money than the Treasury.
Yeah.
Go for it.
Yep. So it's just the beginning.
Yep. So listen, we got a couple things. We want to do some notable send outs and some shout outs. Steve, who's this segment sponsored by?
This is sponsored by Di Filippi's Bakery of Monticello, New York. Obviously, they're one of the leading bakeries in all of the Catskills and Sullivan County. And Carmela is the owner. She's doing cooking for COVID. And we've talked about it. If you go to Di Filippi's Bakery's website, there will be a link there. And she's doing meals for frontline workers and families in need. It's a great cause.
Pillar of the community,
And
for sure.
We thank Carmela for her loyal sponsorship to Sports with Mono and Mono, and we wish her nothing but success with this endeavor.
Thank you very much, Carmela. Thank you. So listen, before we wrap it up, there's a couple of, we talk notable passings. And before we had our last show, right after that, there were some people that certainly our sports audience is going to know about. I'll start off with Wes Unseld, right? Center for, and I must correct myself. I know I said last week I thought he was about 6'5". I said maybe 6'6" tops,
Yeah.
6'7". And he got lost in the land of the giants, but he was as wide as he was tall. But he
Absolutely.
was 6'7", and the only, rookie of the year and MVP besides Will Chamberlain in NBA history. That's saying something.
That's a huge. That's
And a class guy, by the way.
Wes Unseld was
Class.
real class, and he won. He won the title in '78 with the Washington Bullets.
Yes, he did.
You know, he came up as a Baltimore Bullet,
Right.
but great career, well respected, Hall of Famer.
Coached 5
absolutely.
years in the league too.
And then coached the Bullets afterwards, and really he was just respected and admired by everyone. Truly a very good man, great basketball player,
And one of those guys.
bona fide Hall.
And one of those guys, when you see the NBA highlights in slow motion, when he's battling Will Chamberlain, like slow motion would look great for Wes Unseld.
Absolutely.
But he was a stud. He really was a class act, and
He was a brick house.
he
Too.
was.
Good luck getting through him.
You bet.
So R.I.P. Wes Unseld.
Yep.
You know, again, bona fide Hall of Famer.
You bet.
And then we got a couple football guys.
We do.
We got two coaches,
College coaches.
two
actually.
prominent college coaches. I think one more prominent than the other. And
Okay.
So I'm going to lead with this prominent guy is Johnny Majors. Right?
Yep.
So Johnny Majors, I think, was about 85, passed away
85 is correct.
a couple days ago.
Yep.
And Jim and I are old enough to remember Johnny Majors as the head coach of the University of Pittsburgh Panthers.
With Tony Dorsett
With
as
Tony
the
Dorsett.
Heisman Trophy season.
Matt Cavanaugh.
National championship season.
That's what I'm building
Yep.
up to. You bet.
hmm
And Johnny Majors, that team was outstanding.
And for some reason, you and I got to watch every single game Pittsburgh played. But back then, TV wasn't,
Yeah.
log on, Netflix kind of thing. There were like 4
Yeah.
channels.
Absolutely.
And we got Pittsburgh
We got-
every
we got
week and
Pitt.
watched Anthony Dorsett. His Heisman Trophy season was as good as Earl Campbell's,
Exactly.
as good as,
And then the Cowboys finagled to get to the second pick overall, and they got Tony.
Yep.
So Johnny Majors left Pitt shortly thereafter and went on to the University of Tennessee. And
But what gets lost in the mix here?
but he's very respected.
He came in second in the Heisman Trophy in 1956 to
Yeah.
Paul Hornung, the Golden Boy.
Wow. Right. Johnny Majors was a really good football player.
Runner-up for the Heisman
Right.
Trophy. So he was a legend in Tennessee, all down south
Absolutely.
Mississippi.
Yep.
80, awesome, and it's good. A lot of people don't know who that coach was.
Johnny Majors.
A lot of people don't know who the quarterback of that Pittsburgh team was. Do
I
you?
just said it, Matt Cavanaugh.
Matt Cavanaugh, right? Went on to a coordinator role
No,
in
I
the
mean,
NFL.
Matt Cavanaugh was the San Francisco 40 Joe Cool's backup forever.
But he did what he had to do.
Yeah, and then that Matt
he had,
Cavanaugh
he had
is
Tony
respect-
Dorsett running
Wow.
the ball, and it was awesome.
That
was great.
His Heisman Trophy.
Another college coaching notable passing, Pat Dye. And now listen, Steve and I make no bones about it. We love the Big Ten, and so, but we appreciate what Auburn, Alabama, and those guys, LSU. They, every week is like playing the Super Bowl for these guys. And Pat Dye, national championship, winning coach. Yay.
Yay.
I think so.
I don't believe so.
Anyway, okay. But he passed away. He was 80.
He was 80.
80.
He had a good run at
Auburn.
Auburn. And
He coached Bo
I
Jackson.
think he did coach Bo Jackson. Absolutely.
But he was a notable passing. And again,
I
down
think
in
that Auburn's national championship was with Cam Newton, right?
I don't think Pat Dye was the coach of that.
No, Pat Dye was
Right.
early 70s at that point.
Yeah, but he was he was a big name in college football back then.
Well,
big name.
he was the typical SEC type of coach, where no nonsense approach type of thing. It's Pat Dye, the head coach at Auburn, right?
Yep.
And
Out of the Bear Bryant mold kind of thing.
yeah,
Right?
I mean,
And you're right. He did not win a national championship. I thought he did. Thought he did.
yeah.
7-2-1 in bowl games, though. I
Yeah,
mean, that was pretty
listen,
good.
he was a good coach, and
Yep.
you know, so we want to make reference to that.
You bet.
You said before the show, unfortunately, sounds like we'll have a notable passing for next show.
He did.
Floyd Little
Floyd Little.
of the Denver Broncos.
And we remember him playing in those days when they used to play in Yankee Stadium.
Floyd Little played at Syracuse,
He did play with.
in line with Mr. Brown and Mr. Ernie Davis.
Mr. In and Out, Ernie Davis.
In and out, Ernie Davis. But we remember Floyd Little,
We do.
right? Mile High Stadium. I think he always, if I remember correctly, I just had a flash. High top black spikes.
Yeah.
Right?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Number 44.
And I think the quarterback we remember when he was playing the Giants in Yankee Stadium, I think it was Yankee Stadium last game before they played in the
Okay.
Yale Bowl before the Giant Stadium was being built.
Yeah.
Floyd Little. But we found out that he was, he's suffering from cancer, and once they put that post thing out there,
Well, who was the quarterback for the Broncos?
it was
Was it
Charlie Johnson.
I was gonna say
Yes,
ex-Giant.
that was Randy Johnson.
Oh, Randy Johnson.
That's right. Anyway, we send our best to the Little family, but it was Randy Johnson, number 12.
The
But-
same Randy Johnson that played.
I'm
for
drawing
the
a blank
Giants?
on Floyd Little's number,
44.
44. of
Come
course.
on.
Right, good trilogy. Floyd Little, Jim Brown, Ernie Davis.
Oh,
Right.
absolutely.
Syracuse pumped out some pretty good running backs. Joe Morris.
Joe Morris. I heard of him.
I heard him too. But listen, we wanted to. Those are our notable passings and so forth, and chime in if we miss somebody. We'll get to it next week for sure. But I have a couple of shout outs I want to, Steve, before we sign off here. This goes out to Devin McCourty, Super Bowl champ for New England Patriots. Happens to be St. Joe's Green Knight alumni. Him and his wife, they lost a baby and so forth, and I wanted to send our greetings to them and our condolences. Sure.
Absolutely.
I've met him before. I don't know him. He's not a good friend of mine because we haven't hung out. Class act, big time supporter of both St. Joe's and Rutgers and all these causes, and he's speaking out, and we support you 100%, Devin, and we want to send you our condolences and our sympathies on your loss, because I
Yeah.
know how difficult it possibly could be.
That is correct, sir.
Um,
Devin, our condolences and.
Awesome kids. I mean,
oh,
and when you
absolutely.
talk,
Jason and Devin McCourty are solid as they come.
the only twins that look more alike are the Barber twins. Can you tell them apart? Well, you can't tell Devin and Jason apart. I'm telling you that right now.
That's true.
But our thoughts are with you, kid. All our best. And one more shout out before we sign off, guys. The Garvey twins. And you may be sitting there go, oh, who are the Garvey twins? Well, it's Bobby and Jerry Garvey, who are the sons of a dear friend of mine, a loyal listener, Mike from Naples.
Right?
Bobby and Jerry go to Hofstra in St. John's, and they're big fans of the show.
They're Flying Dutchman.
All right. So they've been advertising us and helping us out, and I don't know how much any of these guys are going to remember. They both go to St. John's and Hofstra, so how many keg parties involved? You guys are awesome, and I haven't seen these kids literally since they were in diapers.
All right.
Now they're college students.
Are they shaving?
I'm sure. When did we start shaving? 8th grade? We tried.
I
We're shaving
wish.
anyway. But listen, Bobby and Jerry, thanks for listening, and
Thank you, Bobby
share
and
with
Jerry.
you. And again,
Love to
Lobster,
meet you guys one day, and then I'd love to see Mike
You bet.
when he comes up and visits in the Northeast.
They're all awesome.
It would be great.
And this is the Garvey family that's,
Very
actually
near and dear to you.
and hoisted the Stanley Cup in the dynasty era for the New York Islanders.
Yep.
But listen, thanks for joining us, everybody. But please send us an email. We'd love to hear from you. Sports with mono and mono at gmail.com, because we love to hear what you have to say. And we want to talk about stuff that you guys want to talk about. So please send us an email.
Have a great week, everybody.
Yep.
It's a beautiful day today, and
I guess keep your masks on for a little while anyway, right?
Yeah, we're not mask free yet, but we're trending. So
Okay.
hopefully this nonsense is over and life gets back to normal for everybody.
All our best, guys. Thanks for joining us. We love you to death, and happiness and healthy, and let's hope our things settle down a little bit and we can all pull together as a country.
You bet.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.